Welcome to Traveler's Notebook, where we explore the world's most incredible destinations in depth. I'm your host, and today we're embarking on an extraordinary journey into America's first and most iconic national park, Yellowstone. This isn't just a quick overview. We'll be spending the next 20 minutes diving deep into what makes this place so special. From its geothermal wonders to its incredible wildlife, rich history, and practical tips for making the most of your visit. So, settle in, get comfortable, and let's explore one of the most remarkable places on Earth together.
And I'm your guide to this extraordinary wilderness that spans over 2 million acres across Wyoming, Montana, and Idaho. There's truly no place on Earth quite like Yellowstone National Park. And what's remarkable is that we're just scratching the surface of what this incredible landscape has to offer. From the world's largest concentration of geysers to some of North America's most iconic wildlife, Yellowstone represents a living laboratory of natural processes that have been ongoing for thousands of years.
Before we dive into the specifics, let's talk about why Yellowstone matters so much, not just to Americans, but to the entire world. This park represents a revolutionary idea in conservation, the concept that certain natural areas should be preserved for everyone to enjoy, not just the privileged few. But beyond that philosophical importance, Yellowstone serves as a critical ecosystem that supports biodiversity on a massive scale and provides scientists with invaluable insights into geothermal activity, wildlife behavior, and ecological processes that simply can't be studied anywhere else with this level of accessibility and diversity.
Yellowstone represents so many groundbreaking firsts that it's hard to overstate its significance. Established in 1872 by President Ulysses S. Grant, it was not just America's first national park, but the world's first national park, setting a precedent that would eventually lead to the creation of over 4,000 national parks worldwide. It protects over 2 million acres of pristine wilderness. That's larger than the states of Rhode Island and Delaware combined. The park contains more than half of the world's known geothermal features, including over 10,000 thermal features like geysers, hot springs, mud pots, and fumaroles. But perhaps most importantly, Yellowstone serves as a vital sanctuary for wildlife, particularly large mammals that have been pushed out of most other areas in the lower 48. This park literally set the template for conservation worldwide and continues to be a model for how we can balance preservation with public access.
That's truly incredible when you think about the scale and significance of what Yellowstone represents. And speaking of wildlife, which is one of the park's biggest draws for visitors, what makes Yellowstone's animal encounters so special compared to other national parks or wildlife viewing opportunities? We often hear about the bison, wolves, and bears, but there's so much more to the ecosystem than just the charismatic megafauna. Could you walk us through the full spectrum of animal experiences that visitors might encounter, and what makes these interactions particularly unique in Yellowstone?
There's absolutely nothing quite like the wildlife experiences in Yellowstone. And what makes them so special is the sheer diversity and accessibility of viewing opportunities. Beyond the iconic bison herds that can number in the hundreds moving across the Lamar Valley, or the haunting sound of elk bugling during the autumn rut, Yellowstone is home to the largest concentration of mammals in the lower 48 states. We're talking about approximately 67 different mammal species, including gray wolves that were successfully reintroduced in 1995 after being absent for nearly 70 years. Grizzly bears that represent one of the last remaining populations in the contiguous United States, black bears, mountain lions, coyotes, foxes, and an incredible variety of smaller mammals. But it's not just about the mammals. The park supports over 300 species of birds, including bald eagles, osprey, trumpeter swans, and peregrine falcons. The rivers and lakes are filled with native cutthroat trout, and you'll find reptiles, amphibians, and countless insect species. What's particularly remarkable is that many of these animals are visible from park roads and established viewing areas, making Yellowstone one of the best places in the world for wildlife photography and observation. However, and this is absolutely critical for listeners to understand, these are wild animals, not park attractions. Maintaining proper distance isn't just about your safety, it's about the animal's well-being and the integrity of their natural behaviors.
The landscape seems almost otherworldly, and I think that's what really captures people's imagination about Yellowstone. Beyond the wildlife, the geology is just mind-boggling. What should visitors know about Yellowstone's unique geological features and the forces that created this incredible landscape? We hear about the supervolcano and the geothermal activity, but I'd love to understand more about how these features work, why they're concentrated here, and what visitors can expect to see when they explore the different thermal areas throughout the park.
You're absolutely right that the geology is mind-boggling, and to truly appreciate it, visitors should understand that they're standing atop one of the world's largest active volcanic systems. The Yellowstone caldera, often called a supervolcano, is approximately 34 by 45 miles in size and represents a massive magma chamber that's only about 3 to 8 miles below the surface. This immense heat source is what drives all the geothermal features that make Yellowstone so unique. The park contains more than 10,000 thermal features, which is more than half of all the world's known geysers, hot springs, mud pots, and fumaroles. Old Faithful is obviously the most famous geyser, erupting approximately every 90 minutes and shooting water up to 180 feet in the air, but there are over 500 other geysers in the park, each with their own unique eruption patterns and characteristics. The hot springs are equally fascinating. Grand Prismatic Spring is the largest hot spring in the United States and the third largest in the world, with its incredible rainbow colors created by different heat-loving microorganisms that thrive at specific temperature zones. The colors range from brilliant blue in the center, where temperatures can reach 189 degrees Fahrenheit, to orange and red around the edges, where slightly cooler temperatures allow different microbial mats to grow. Mud pots are another fascinating feature where acidic hot water breaks down rock into clay, creating bubbling, gurgling pools of mud. What's really important for visitors to understand is that these features are dynamic and constantly changing. New thermal features appear, old ones become dormant, and the landscape is literally alive with geological activity. The boardwalks and trails are carefully designed to protect both visitors and these delicate features, so staying on designated paths is absolutely essential for safety and preservation.
Given that Yellowstone experiences such dramatic seasonal changes, with everything from heavy snowfall to summer wildfires, how does the park transform through the different seasons? And is there really a best time to visit? I know many people plan their trips for summer when roads are fully open, but I've heard that each season offers unique experiences. Could you walk us through what visitors can expect during spring, summer, fall, and winter, and maybe help our listeners understand which season might be best suited for their particular interests, whether that's wildlife viewing, photography, avoiding crowds, or experiencing the park's more dramatic weather events?
Each season in Yellowstone is like visiting a completely different park, and there's really no single best time. It all depends on what experience you're seeking. Let's start with spring, which typically runs from April through June. This is a season of renewal, when snowmelt creates rushing waterfalls and streams, newborn animals like bison calves and elk calves make their appearance, and the landscape bursts with green vegetation and wildflowers. Spring is fantastic for wildlife viewing, as animals are more active and visible, but be prepared for variable weather. You might experience sunshine, rain, and even snow all on the same day. Many roads are still closed in early spring, so access is limited. Summer, from July through August, is when the park is most accessible, with all roads open and all services operating. This is peak visitation season, so expect larger crowds, but you'll have the best opportunity to see the full range of geothermal features and hike the extensive trail system. Wildflowers are at their peak and wildlife is abundant, though animals may be harder to spot during the heat of the day. Autumn, from September to October, is my personal favorite. The crowds thin out dramatically, the autumn colors in the aspens and cottonwoods are spectacular, and wildlife becomes incredibly active during the rutting season. Elk bugling echoes through the valleys, bison are moving to lower elevations, and bears are actively foraging before hibernation. The weather is generally pleasant, though nights can be cold. Winter, from November through March, transforms Yellowstone into a silent, snowy wonderland. Most roads are closed to regular vehicles, but over snow travel via snow coach or snowmobile offers access to a magical world of steaming thermal features against snow-covered landscapes. Wildlife viewing is excellent as animals concentrate in lower elevations, and the lack of crowds creates an incredibly peaceful experience. The trade-off is limited access and very cold temperatures. So really, the best time depends on your priorities. Accessibility and full services in summer, wildlife and colors in fall, solitude and unique experiences in winter, or renewal and newborn animals in spring.
For our listeners who are planning their first trip to Yellowstone, what practical tips and preparation advice would you give them to help them make the most of their experience while staying safe and respecting the park's rules? We've covered the incredible sights and experiences, but the reality of visiting a park this size with such unique hazards can be daunting for first-timers. From accommodation choices and packing essentials to navigating the park's vast road system and understanding the specific safety protocols around wildlife and thermal areas, what should people know before they go to ensure they have a successful and memorable visit?
Excellent question, because proper preparation can make the difference between a stressful trip and an unforgettable adventure. First and most importantly, start planning early. Especially for accommodations. Lodging inside the park books up months, sometimes even a year in advance for peak season. If you can't get park lodging, consider gateway communities like West Yellowstone, Gardner, or Cody, but be prepared for longer drive times into the park each day. When it comes to daily strategy, start early. I mean, really early. The parking lots at popular spots like Old Faithful, Grand Prismatic Spring, and Hayden Valley fill up by 9 a.m. in summer. Getting into the park by 6 or 7 a.m. not only beats the crowds, but dramatically increases your wildlife viewing opportunities, as animals are most active around dawn and dusk. Packing is crucial. Think layers, not outfits. Yellowstone's weather can change dramatically in minutes, so bring moisture-wicking base layers, insulating mid-layers, and waterproof outer layers. Good hiking boots are essential, as is sun protection. The high elevation means stronger UV radiation. Don't forget binoculars or a spotting skull for wildlife watching. And always have your camera ready with extra batteries and memory cards. Navigation is another key consideration. The park's Figure 8 road system is over 140 miles of driving, not counting side roads, so plan your days by region rather than trying to see everything at once. Download offline maps since cell service is extremely limited. Now for safety. The 25-yard rule for bison and elk and 100 yards for bears and wolves isn't a suggestion, it's a necessity for your safety and the animal's well-being. In thermal areas, stay on boardwalks at all times. The ground around hot springs can be thin crust over boiling water, and people have suffered severe burns from stepping off trails. Carry bear spray and know how to use it properly if you plan any hiking. Finally, embrace flexibility. Road construction, wildlife jams, and weather can all disrupt plans, so have backup options and remember that sometimes the unexpected moments become the most memorable parts of your trip.
Beyond the well-known attractions and popular viewpoints, are there hidden corners, lesser-known trails, or fascinating stories that most visitors miss when they come to Yellowstone? I'm always fascinated by the places that aren't in every guidebook or the historical narratives that give deeper context to the landscape. What are some of the park's best-kept secrets? Whether that's a particular hiking trail that offers solitude and stunning views, a thermal feature that's less crowded but equally impressive, or a piece of history that helps visitors understand the human relationship with this landscape over time.
Absolutely! And this is where Yellowstone reveals its deeper layers to those willing to explore beyond the obvious. The northern range, particularly the Lamar Valley, is often called America's Serengeti for its incredible wildlife concentrations, but many visitors stick to the more accessible Hayden Valley. Lamar offers spectacular viewing opportunities with fewer crowds, especially in the early mornings. For hiking, the Fairy Falls Trail to the overlook of Grand Prismatic Spring provides a completely different perspective than the boardwalk view. And Mount Washburn Trail offers panoramic views that few visitors experience. But some of the most fascinating stories are historical. Did you know that Yellowstone almost didn't become a park? The 1871 Hayden Expedition, which provided the documentation that convinced Congress to establish the park, faced skepticism and opposition from those who wanted to develop the area's resources. There are stories of early tourists who would actually wash their clothes in the hot springs before park regulations were established. The Native American history is particularly rich and often overlooked. Numerous tribes including Shoshone, Bannock, Blackfeet, Crow, and Nez Perce have ancestral connections to this land, using the thermal areas for healing and spiritual practices long before it became a national park. The Fountain Paint Pot area has fascinating smaller thermal features that many visitors rush past on their way to more famous spots. But these bubbling mud pots and colorful springs have their own unique character. The Firehold Lake Drive is a less traveled road that features Great Fountain Geyser, which erupts less frequently than Old Faithful, but puts on a much more dramatic show when it does. And for those interested in wildlife beyond the megafauna, the park's smaller creatures, from pika and marmots in the rocky areas to the incredible diversity of birds of prey, offer endless opportunities for discovery. The key to finding these hidden gems is to slow down, talk to rangers about current conditions and recommendations, and be willing to explore areas that aren't at the top of every must-see list. That's perhaps the most profound aspect of Yellowstone, its ability to create lasting change in those who experience it. What stays with people is the sense of connection to something ancient and wild, something that operates on a timescale far beyond our human concerns. When you witness a geyser eruption that's been following the same rhythm for thousands of years, or watch a wolf pack hunt across a valley using strategies perfected over millennia, you're granted a glimpse into processes that predate human civilization and will continue long after we're gone. This creates a profound sense of humility and perspective. Yellowstone changes people because it demonstrates the resilience of nature when given protection and space. The successful reintroduction of wolves in 1995, for example, didn't just bring back a predator. It triggered a trophic cascade that restored balance to the entire ecosystem. Willows and aspens began regenerating as elk browsing patterns changed, which in turn created habitat for beavers, whose dams created wetlands or supported fish, birds, and other species. Visitors who learn this story often leave with a completely different understanding of ecological interconnectedness. There's also the sheer scale of beauty and diversity concentrated in one place. Where else can you experience alpine meadows, vast forests, dramatic canyons, thundering waterfalls, and otherworldly thermal features all within a single day's drive? This concentration of wonders makes Yellowstone feel both accessible and overwhelming at the same time. But perhaps most importantly, Yellowstone represents hope. In a world facing environmental challenges, here is a place that demonstrates that conservation works, that wild places can be preserved, and that humans can coexist with nature in a respectful relationship. People leave not just with photographs, but with a renewed sense of responsibility toward the natural world, and a deeper appreciation for the complex, beautiful, and sometimes terrifying forces that shape our planet. It's this combination of awe, understanding, and inspiration that creates the transformative experience that keeps people coming back and advocating for places like Yellowstone throughout their lives.
Thank you so much for sharing your incredible depth of knowledge and passion for Yellowstone with us today. This has been such a comprehensive exploration of what makes this place so special. To our listeners, if Yellowstone has captured your imagination like it has ours, and you want to continue learning about this remarkable park, I encourage you to dive deeper. The park's official website has incredible resources, including webcams that let you watch Old Faithful erupt or see wildlife in the Lamar Valley from home. Consider supporting organizations like the Yellowstone Forever Institute that fund research, education, and conservation projects throughout the park. And if you do plan a visit, remember to be that thoughtful, prepared visitor who respects the rules and leaves no trace. This has been Traveler's Notebook, and we'll be back soon with another deep dive into one of the world's most amazing destinations. Make sure to follow us wherever you get your podcasts, and until next time, happy and safe travels.